What is good, y'all? It's your boy 50K Clay. I am Clay Will, and we are back tapped in with yet another video, man. Today we got a very pressing topic. I know it's kind of late. I know I'm kind of delayed, but I want to get into Juelz Santana's comments on why he thinks kids shouldn't be prioritizing learning how to read in favor of other kind of things. So let's look at the clip right here.
Shit gonna take over.
Nah, but seriously
I
though,
said it right?
on some G shit though, we gotta start teaching our kids though, just financial wealth and literacy and all that shit early, cause by the time they get to ninth grade, they should be just learning how to start businesses
These kids can't read
and how
well.
to. But they don't really need to know how to read. I say that respectfully. I'm not saying that in a way to be literate, because you're not supposed to be illiterate, but you can.
What's more important, reading or math?
Math.
Told you.
Math. I think you could listen to a book on YouTube. You can still obtain the information.
And
you don't
not
have to know how to
understand.
read. That's
Thank
not
you,
a reading and
Ralph.
understanding. I believe common sense is better than everything. I'm a common sense nigga.
In the clip, he gets into basically saying that, financial literacy and common sense and knowing how to read people and read the room is, is superior than having education that you can obtain through books and stuff like that. I think this is really indicative of his career, other rappers' careers, and just kind of society as a whole, man. I feel like this is truly an issue. If he truly believes that with his heart, and from what I seen in the clip, he's really adamant about it. Like, he had a second, I think it was funny as hell. He had a second to pause and really just reflect on what he just said. Everybody in the room is laughing and going crazy and stuff like that, and he dead ass doubles down on what he said. He doubles down on his take. Like I said, I feel like that's almost a reflection of society. He's saying in the clip, well, AI can do it. You don't need to know how to read. AI can read. You don't need to learn how to read. You can listen to an audiobook. Let's go all the way back. Firstly, our ancestors fought and died for us to have the ability to read, specifically as African Americans. They were intentionally depriving us of this knowledge. They were intentionally making it a priority and making it a law that if you taught black people how to read, then you could be ostracized. The black person is liable to be beaten and killed, and the white person who taught an African American how to read, they're gonna face harsh penalties as well. So people like Frederick Douglass and stuff like that, they were so the abolitionist movement and stuff, they were so adamant on inspiring so many black people how to read because they recognized the value of education. They recognized the value of um, literacy, and that's how HBCUs got started. Black people coming out of slavery for decades and hundreds of years and centuries of not being able to read and stuff like that. Once we finally had the ability to read, we started establishing our own schools. We started teaching other black kids how to read. It was truly a priority because that knowledge was deprived from us. Um, so for somebody to really just seriously get up on a platform and say, nah, man, we don't need to learn how to read. We need to learn financial literacy. We need to learn financial literacy, and we need to learn how to start our own businesses. Now, that is true. Black people need financial literacy. We need to learn all those skills that are still being deprived from us today. We don't have financial literacy classes in school. We don't have how to pay your taxes, how to set money aside. And I think that's very intentional. They don't want the populace to be able, it's almost like modern day slavery. They don't want the populace to be able to catch up to them. If we had the same kind of skills and traits as like the bourgeoisie, then we will be able to get on their level. It's not a lack of will to learn, it's intentionally being deprived of this knowledge the same way slaves were deprived of the ability to read. So it is true that we need to learn how to be financially stable, and we need to learn financial literacy. Now, one thing about it, nowadays we've gotten into such a capitalistic business oriented mindset that people are so adamant nowadays about start your own business. It's not so much that people want to be entrepreneurs, people want to be businessmen and stuff like that. It's just an escape from capitalism. We don't actually genuinely want to. It's so much factors that go into running a business and sustaining the business and excelling in that trajectory that goes into it. It's not just simply start your own business. All right, it's so many factors that go into that I think Juelz Santana is underestimating, and especially if he's saying we need to learn how to start our own businesses without learning how to read, or before we learn how to read. How can you start your own business if you don't know how to read? I feel like that entrepreneurial mindset has just engulfed the culture, and people are choosing to not have hobbies anymore. You got a hobby, make it a business. Make it a business. Make it a business. When in reality, some stuff should just be reserved for you. You know? Say if you like crocheting, you shouldn't have to start a crocheting business just to sustain yourself. You should be able to enjoy your hobby in your free time, and money is completely optional. But the state of the world that we're in right now is telling us that, it's showing us that, hey, you got to have other means of sustaining yourself in this economy, which is where I feel like the financial literacy comes into place. But also, what about the people who don't want to start their own business? They don't have no entrepreneurial goals. They don't want to be a businessman. And oftentimes starting your own business is way more stressful than just working a job. People don't factor that in. Yeah, I'm gonna start my own business, but you don't have a business plan, you don't have a business model. All these small nuances that go into making a business, people don't know about and shouldn't have to necessarily pursue just to stay afloat. I feel like it's also indicative of, like I said, my mom was a teacher, so I recognize the value of education at an early age. I was having this conversation with this dude from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and he was telling me, American kids, we don't really value our education. He said people from his country, from his neck of the woods, they do everything they possibly can. They stack their money just to be able to have an opportunity to come here so that they can learn, so that they can get the best education available. And that really put things into perspective for me because we take it for granted. We just like, oh man, I gotta go to school in the morning. I don't really feel like doing that. But just like with the ability to read, our ancestors fought and died for us to be able to get the best education we possibly could. So to see us where we are nowadays, where we're not really appreciating our education, and like I said, it gets taken for granted. If you didn't grow up without something, you don't really appreciate the value of it. We're not really appreciative of our teachers. You see how underpaid our teachers are, and we're not appreciative of, we're not grateful for the luxuries that are afforded to us that people from other countries simply don't have. They scramble to get over here. They do everything in their power to get to America so that they can have the best chance for success in their life, so that they can give back to their people. You know what I'm saying? Or at least establish a life for themselves. I also feel like this is how artists get robbed in their contracts. Yeah, he says that people should have common sense and they should have financial literacy, but artists need to be able to read their contracts to know what's in them. Especially if we're talking about a career in business or entertainment or what have you, you have to know what's in your contract. You don't want yourself getting exploited. You don't want yourself getting pennies on the dollar for what the label makes off you or what the league makes off you or what have you. Honestly, that's kind of indicative of why Juelz Santana career might not have taken off the way it should have, with Dipset being such a big movement in the early 2000s. Artists aren't looking into their contracts. They can't look into their contracts if they don't have the literacy to be able to do that. Just the literacy to be able to read. So you push it off on a lawyer. Hey, lawyer, read this contract. But little do you know, the lawyer is working with the label to exploit you. And you wouldn't know that because you just pushed it off on somebody else because you lack the ability to read. You know what I'm saying? Literacy is important, man. It's imperative actually. And without it, we nothing. The host even brings up, hey, but what about a menu? You got to be able to read a menu. Juelz Santana, nah, AI can do it, or just know what you like.
Probably will. AI will now. That's what I'm saying. That's how freaky
You don't have
is.
to read. Shit can be told to you.
It'll be so.
Just
I'm
no
not saying that in a bad way. Like you don't need to know how to
menu at a
read.
restaurant.
Floyd
Huh?
Mayweather don't read that
menu
shit.
at a restaurant. Like it's mad shit you gotta read.
You saying that? You just gotta know what you like.
I think it is some merit to the value of having street smarts. It's one thing to have book smarts. You also have to pair that with the ability to have street smarts. Once you pair those two together, you got a dangerous force. Because now you know about the world, the history of the world. You know the world around you, and you know the world that came before you. And once you know your history, then if you don't, and they say all the time, it's a common phrase, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. I feel like Juelz Santana, man, you got to do a lot of self-reflection. And I hope people don't really take too much into heart what he's saying. Because he didn't sound all that literate himself in this interview. So, yeah, man, like I said, education is imperative. It's essential. And it's a muscle that has to be developed. But I appreciate y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all for watching. I'm going to have another video coming out really, really soon. We out.